Okay, everyone, so we're back, basically continuing right after the previous video. We're going to do something a little more with our title screen here. So right now, if you run our program, you'll see we have title screen text here, and it's drawn sort of in the top left corner. Now, if you think about most title screens in games, they don't typically have it drawn in that top left corner, and so what we want to do is kind of try and center it in the center of our screen here. So that's what we're going to try to do in this video. So to get started with that, I'm just going to save this video or save this file under a different name. You can continue editing the same one if you want. I'm just doing this so I can easily link to these later. Okay, so how can we go about centering these things? Well, if you'll notice here, our screen, if we try and draw the text we're talking about, we give it a position as the second parameter here, which is sort of x, y, typical coordinates you would see in math. And let's see if I can bring this up. So, I think this is in here. Yes. So if you'll recall, let me go ahead and run the game. The coordinate system that we have going on in Python and most of 2D computer graphics at least is 0, 0 is in the top left corner of our screen, and then increasing x values go across the screen, increasing y values going down, all the way towards like the bottom right corner is the width that we supply for our window, and our height -1. That's because we start counting at 0 here, as opposed to 1. So that's that. And so if I were to adjust where we're drawing this text here for the title screen to say like 100 and X, you'll see it moves over to the right a little bit. If I were to change that to 100 and Y, you should see it move down. And then you can also do things like, I don't know, -10, I think. At least I think you can do this, we'll see. -10, -1 should, I think, draw it partially off screen. Yeah, so you'll see now like the letter T is off screen because we shifted it to the left. So you can use negative numbers. So how can we sort of center this text? Well, first let's try and calculate the center of our screen. And if you'll recall, down here when we're creating our screen, we have the width and height defined, and so the center of our screen should be equal to approximately oops. I don't know what I pressed to accidentally open up that terminal. Divided by 2. And then the screen center Y position would be the screen height in pixels divided by 2. And so we could, say, take these variables here, and I'm going to change this to lowercase text left x top y screen position, because some of what we're doing here involving calculations isn't like going to be compile time logic, and so it's not really going to be a constant value. We're going to be doing like these mathematical computations to do that. And so if I do that for my variable name, and then I change the screen center X position, and then the screen center Y position for, here I can go ahead and close the drawing thing since we don't need that anymore. Then we should see the position of the text change a little bit. So now you see it sort of drawn in the center, but you see that it's sort of like the top left of the text that's drawn in the center, but we sort of want the center of the text to be in the center. And that's because this position we supply here to blit, it gives us the sort of top left corner of what we're going to do. So we need to find a way to basically account for the size of this text here. And so how can we do that? Well, I'm going to go to pygame.org and look at the official reference documentation here and look at what we have to work with when we're dealing with surfaces, and then the screen.blit function. So I think screen.blit is actually a surface. So let's go to the surface documentation and look at blit. Okay. So it positions with the dest arguments, and yeah, it says the upper left corner. And so that we're going to have to sort of deal with. We can't change that, but what we can look is say like, okay, is there a way to get sort of the width or the height of our surface here? And so let's take a look at that. Aha, so there's a get width and get height function and a get size. So let's take a look at those. So get size will return the width and the height as what is known as a tuple in Python, basically just two variables sort of grouped together. Or we can call get width and get height separately. I think we'll just go ahead and do get size to just show you how that's done. So if we're going to compute that, what we'll need to do is like say text width in pixels and text height in pixels. Now when we can say text surface, again I pressed enter to select that, and then dot get size, and then I should be able to say, okay, if this is the size here and this is the center position of our screen, if I want to compute the text center X screen position, I should be able to say, hey, take the screen center X and then subtract. Well, there's actually one thing we need to do first. So because we want to, well, actually I'll just show you. So we'll say text center X screen position will be screen center X position minus the text width, and then the text center Y screen position will be the screen center's Y position minus the text height. So if you'll recall, our text was sort of being drawn sort of from the top left corner, and we want to get remove that so it appears more centered. So now if I do that and then I change this to text center X screen position and then text center Y screen position, this will be, I think, progress, but it won't work quite the way we want to. It won't be properly centered. So yeah, now you see that it looks like the bottom right corner of our text is being drawn sort of in the center or something close to that. Let me actually do this twice just to show you. So screen.blit text surface, and then we'll do screen center X, screen center Y to help you visualize what's going on. So yeah, you'll see that this first thing here is what we originally had, where the top left corner of the text is being drawn in the center. But now what we just added before, where we're subtracting the text width and height. So if we subtract the entire width of the text, that's going to bring us here. And if we subtract the height, that's going to go up here. And so that is why we're getting that behavior. We don't actually want to subtract the entire width and the entire height. What we want to do is only subtract half of it, and that will let us sort of center the center of our text on screen. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll get rid of the temporary code I added. So we don't actually need like the width and height of our text directly. What we need is the half width. So text half width in pixels is going to be equal to the text width in pixels divided by 2, and then the text height in pixels, text half height in pixels is going to be the text height in pixels divided by 2. And then if we change these variables to, or these expressions to subtract the half width and the half height, that should let us now sort of center our text on screen. So ta-da, that's working now. We can press a key and it'll switch to the main gameplay state. We can press another key to go back and keep pressing keys to switch between the two. I'm not going to change the main gameplay state text where it's being drawn right now, because in a future video we will actually go about and sort of replace that code entirely, so it's not worth it to really change it around. So that's it, I think, for this video. Next time, I think we'll probably look into integrating our main gameplay code into the rest of this, and so look forward to that next time.